Well, for starters, I want to apologize for this video being delayed a few weeks. The coronavirus hit me pretty hard, but I'm good now, which means at the channel Points of Quest of Quaid, we can finally look at John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, released in 2019. Released just 2 years after the first film, John Wick 3 picks up immediately where we left off. John, of course, was declared excommunicado from the Assassin Order, and now he's got assassins all over him trying to kill him. Will he survive? Well, we're gonna find out. Much like the first two films, this got great reviews from critics, but unlike the first two films, it made a hell of a lot more money. On a budget of about $75 million, it grossed $326 million worldwide, and took just 10 days to be the highest grossing film of the franchise. We had a lot of returning faces in this one, obviously Keanu Reeves and also Ian McShane, Lawrence Fishburne, and Lance Reddick. Some big adds to the cast this time as well though, including Asia Kate Dillon, Mark Dacascos, and Halle Berry. And if you're wondering about the title, Parabellum, apparently it's taken from a famous 4th century Roman military quote, Si vis pacem parabellum, which means if you want peace, prepare for war. And I hope you're prepared for war, because I sure am, as we're going to dive into this right now and take a John Wick look back at John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. So like I said, we pick up exactly where we left off in the last film, as John Wick and his dog are running down the streets of Manhattan as the $14 million bounty on his head is about to be activated. John goes to the New York Public Library to retrieve some trinkets as well as a picture of his wife that he hid in a book there. He's still got about 10 minutes, but he's confronted by an assassin named Ernest, played by NBA player Boban Marjanovic, who wants to collect the bounty early. That ends up being not such an Ernest idea, as he uses the book to break Ernest's jaw and then his fucking neck, which is awesome. Ernest did end up stabbing John pretty severely in the shoulder though, so John, with just minutes left before the bounty's activated, goes to visit an old doctor that he knows. Right as the doctor's in the middle of stitching him up however though, the bounty is activated, so he has to stop halfway through, and John has to finish it. And to ensure that he's not killed by the high table for helping John, he makes John shoot him twice. Well, time to go to war, John. First up, a local gang chases him into some kind of storage building. Luckily, the storage building has a lot of things, including an old-fashioned gun, which John puts together and shoots one of them in the face with. He then has an awesome fucking fight sequence with these guys, including throwing knives and a whole bunch of knife fights, and this is probably the best action sequence in the whole franchise since the scene in his house in the first film. Obviously though, John ends up winning and ends it by throwing a tomahawk into the head of the leader of the gang. Next up, we've got some fancy Italian guys in suits that chase John into a horse stable. It ends up being not such a good idea though, as multiple of them get killed by getting kicked in the fucking head by said horses. John then uses a leash to noose the last guy and then rides off on the horse, which chokes the dude to death and snaps his neck. Well, John is now on a horse, didn't think I'd be seeing that, and now he's got to deal with two motorcycle dudes who he kills pretty easily. He then shows up at a movie theater and is granted access after showing a cross, which he recovered from the library. He then meets with a woman called the Director, who is the head of the Roscaroma crime syndicate. And then we get some random huge backstory out of nowhere. Turns out John's real name is Giordani Jovanovic, and he used to be a member of the crime syndicate. They actually took him in as an orphan and trained him to be an assassin, and as a result of his connection to them, he wants their help. The Director reluctantly agrees, and after permanently breaking John's connections to them, grants him safe passage to Casablanca. Meanwhile, back at the New York Continental Hotel, things are about to be not so good for Winston, as an adjudicator of the high table shows up. The adjudicator tells him that as a result of him helping John Wick by giving him extra time to get away, he will be fired and has to leave the hotel and his position in 7 days. The adjudicator also finds the Bowery King and tells him the same thing. As a result of him giving John that gun, he too will have to vacate his position within 7 days. Back to John, he arrives in Casablanca and he's immediately jumped by assassins. Don't know what he thought was going to happen. They're having a good old fight and then a man stops them who works at the Moroccan Continental Hotel. He takes John to meet the manager, Sophia, who immediately shoots him in the shoulder. Turns out John has a marker on Sophia because he once helped her daughter get out of the life and into safety. John wants to find the elder of the high table, but Sophia doesn't know where that is. She does know someone who might though. Barada, who's her former boss. Meanwhile, the adjudicator enlists the help of a Japanese assassin named Zero, as well as his gang. They invade the Roscaroma crime syndicate and take out a lot of the Director's men before confronting her. And her punishment for helping John Wick is being stabbed through both her hands. That's gotta feel not nice. Back to John and Sophia now, who meet with Barada. Barada tells John that the only way he can find the Elder of the High Table is to walk through the desert until he cannot walk anymore. He's not willing to let them leave without a price, however, and he wants one of Sophia's dogs in return. Sophia refuses, so he shoots the dog, which luckily is fine because it was wearing a bulletproof vest. Sophia then goes apeshit, and she and John kill a lot of his men, and she almost kills him, but decides to shoot him in a kneecap instead. And now we get probably the longest and most epic fight sequence of the entire franchise, as John and Sophia just mow down all of Barada's men, and I mean all of them. Sophia gets a lot of shine here, and she uses her dogs to her advantage. Basically, the dogs just take two dudes down and then she shoots them in the head and repeat, and it's fucking awesome the way she works together with them. After they've killed pretty much everybody, John and Sophia drive off into the desert, and she leaves him to his walk. And then John walks until he cannot walk anymore, and collapses. Meanwhile, Zero and his men invade and kill the men of the Bowery King before confronting him. The Adjudicator tells the Bowery King that his punishment is 7 slices. Okay, what are we gonna do? Just on the net? Okay, oh Jesus, alright, yeah, well he's probably dead. John then wakes up and there he is, the Elder of the High Table. The Elder of the High Table asks John why he wishes to live, and John says he wants to live so he can keep the memory of his wife. The Elder agrees to let John live and remove the excommunicado, providing that he kills Winston. John reluctantly agrees, and in order to recommit himself to the High Table, he cuts off his ring finger and gives his wedding ring to the Elder as an offering. As a gift, they give John a new suit, and he makes his way back to New York. Oh crap, here comes more assassins, who are immediately killed by Zero's assassins. Turns out it's because Zero wants to kill John himself, which proves to not be as easy as he thinks. John then kills a couple of Zero's motorbike friends and steals one of the bikes, and then, oh look at this, we're having an all nice little bike ride. Oh wait, no, they've got swords. If you're wondering if pulling swords on John Wick was a good idea, it wasn't, as he steals said sword and then kills almost all of them. And by almost all of them, I mean almost all of them except for Zero, who chases John and they crash out in front of the New York Continental Hotel. Zero's about to kill John, but John places his hand on hotel grounds, and the concierge Charon tells him that he can't kill on his grounds, or he's going to be excommunicado himself. John requests a meeting with Winston, and Zero and John make their way inside, where Zero reveals that he is a massive fanboy of John. I did not see that coming. John also reunites with his dog, who I think I forgot to mention he previously sent to live at the hotel as he went to go take care of business, and then he goes to some fancy light-up room to meet with Winston. Winston tells John that he's not gonna resign as manager of the hotel, and he's gonna go to war with the High Table, and he asks John to either join him or kill him. The Adjudicator then shows up, don't know where they keep coming from, and asks John if he's gonna kill Winston, and John says, no, I don't think I will. The Adjudicator then declares the hotel deconsecrated, which means that business can now be done on its grounds. The Adjudicator then informs them that High Table enforcers are on their way to take care of them. And under the circumstances, Winston decides that John should once again have access to the services of the hotel. So they go to a secret underground weapons bunker, where John and Charon prepare some weapons for the incoming High Table enforcers. They completely load up, and John, Charon, as well as the other members of the hotel staff begin to attack the enforcers. The enforcers kill all of the staff except for Charon and John has a hard time killing them as they are heavily armored. They decide to go back to the vault and reload and get some 12-gauge shotguns with armor-piercing rounds. And these prove to be a lot more effective. After taking all of them out, John is confronted by Zero, who tells him that he will be the one to kill him in the end. John then makes his way back into that special lit-up room where one of Zero's men kicks him through all the glass panels, and then another one joins, but John eventually kills them. John then engages in hand-to-hand combat with 2 more men, who are also really big fans of him. John eventually wins by fucking angle slamming them both through a glass panel to another one down below, but decides not to kill his biggest fans. How nice of him. John and Zero then have a hand-to-hand / sword fight, and John ends up incapacitating one of Zero's arms and then stabbing him through the chest. The Adjudicator then calls Winston and tells him that it's time for them to parley. Meanwhile, Zero and John have a conversation where Zero's like, yeah, that was a good fight, and then John goes to leave and Zero's like, oh, don't worry, I'll catch up to you, but he's not gonna catch up, he just kills over and dies. John then joins Winston, Karen, and the Adjudicator on the roof for the parlay, where Winston asks to be reinstated. The Adjudicator's then like, oh, I see, you were just doing this as a show of strength. Okay, I'll reinstate you, but what about John? And then Winston turns on John and shoots him multiple times as he falls off the roof and presumably dies. Well, Winston's now reinstated and John is dead, although maybe not, as the Adjudicator goes to look for his body, which is no longer there. And based off Winston's reaction when told that, he may have done that intentionally. John's dog ends up catching up with one of the Bowery King's men, who is wheeling John to the Bowery King. And hey, he's still alive, although he's got some nice new face scars, look at that. Bowery King tells John that he's really fucking pissed off and wants to know if John's pissed off too. And John says, yeah, I'm pretty pissed off, and they agree to join forces against the High Table to end the film. And well, it's once again time to whip out our John Wick big board to rank this third film in the franchise. So last time I had a very hard time choosing between the first two films, but I decided to give the first film an edge. To be honest, I didn't have too hard of a time this time. While I still love the first film and I think the second film was great as well, this is the best out of the three. No question. The action sequences in this film are so fucking awesome. Like, especially the two that stood out to me, the three actually that stood out to me, were the one where he was fighting the gang inside that storage facility, where him and Sophia were taking out all of those dudes, and then the fight inside the Continental. All three of those fights were incredible, arguably the best three fights in the entire franchise. And I mentioned plot in the last one. I think the plot in this one was, I don't know about on par with the first films as far as motivation and story-wise, but it was a little bit closer than the second film. I mean, John's literally fighting for his life out here. So, I think this film was just incredible, and I do think this was the best of the three. And I'll tell you what, that Chapter 4 is going to have to do a lot to possibly be better than this. And I mean a lot. Because this was maybe the best, I don't know, I wouldn't say the best action film I've ever seen, although it's up there, but probably the best modern action film I've ever seen. Like, they gave the sequences, the action sequences, so much more time in this, and just let John Wick kill people for longer, and it was so fucking awesome. The one criticism I can think of is because the scenes went longer, a lot of time that resulted in just, you know, reusing the same moves, but I don't think that was that big of a deal, to be honest. I am also very interested, as far as the fourth film goes, to see what happens with John and Winston. Were they in on it together, or was Winston doing that on his own accord? Based off John's reaction, it didn't seem like they were in it on it together, but that could have just been to fool the Adjudicator. I'm very excited for Chapter 4 now, I gotta be honest. I really want to see what happens next. And what's funny is Chapter 4 might not even be the end of it. There was talk of making a fifth film as well, and Keanu Reeves has said that as long as these films are awesome, he'll keep making them. Well, we're 3 awesome films in, so he might just keep making them. I like to wait till films are out of theaters though before I cover them, so since it's released in late March of 2023, maybe August of 23, maybe about a year from now, to be honest. Maybe about a year from now, or maybe about 13 months from now, is probably when we'll be covering Chapter 4 on the channel. And I can't wait, personally. But we're going to have to wait, because that's how life works. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for my look back at John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Definitely go check this film out. Go check out all these films. Like, seriously, if you want to be as excited as I am for Chapter 4, go watch these films. They'll be worth your time, and I'm sure Chapter 4 will be as well when it comes out. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for me today. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. If you didn't like it, don't. If you want to follow any of my social media links, they are all in the video description down below. Thank you again, Quaid, for using your channel points on this. With all that being said, though, my name is Noah Taff. This has been my John Wick look back at John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.